got some good stuff this year.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I imagine. Let's see. Let me let's start with Imperfect Women since that just
Cool. That's
ended,
fun.
I guess.
Yeah.
Um, let me see. Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. Goodness. Um, so I guess since you directed the finale of it,
Yeah.
I was really impressed with how the season as a whole really kept all of the plot lines going. I feel like you can feel when uh you know like the threads of something starts to dip and something takes more center stage. But I feel like with Imperfect Women it doesn't really do that. And I was really impressed with how it balanced a murder mystery with this like frayed friendship, and it comes back together and it untethers again. And I guess because you directed the finale, I was curious what would it sort of like to just come on in and like deliver it on home, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, I mean that's always the fun part of doing finales. I mean, I've done pilots, I've done
Yeah.
episodic, and then sort of I've done finales. There's always a different angle each time.
Hmm.
And I think most importantly with the finale, you've got to watch and read everything leading
Hmm.
up to that moment, right? So that you can come in with with as much knowledge and backstory of
Yeah.
not only the characters but also sort of how the actors are sort of playing their characters, what they're bringing to it, sort of their point of view on it. So I try and be as a much part of the whole show, like a movie,
Yeah.
as I can be. I think that's to do it justice. You can't just come in and just do it as a single episode. You have to
Hmm.
have been immersed and invested in the whole story.
Yeah. I do think with that show, especially because I think we get so emotionally invested in everybody, I feel like everything, it's so paced so well. Like I think my husband and I have been we've been watching them like alone and catching up with each other. And I feel like when we watch an episode together, he's always like, "Oh, it's over. Oh, it's over." And it's like, yeah, it's the full 42 minutes. So I think that's a good, I was about to say testament of how you can become so embroiled in something.
Yeah.
Um, I did want to ask about the final confrontation between Howard and Mary. I kind of love how you put the point of view of the camera really switches from like their literal position, like
Hmm.
between him and her. I assume he's I think he's very tall,
Hmm.
Corey Stoll. Um, and I like, well, it's like is not the right word for this, but the when it gets physical, um, it really freaked me out when he just kept repeating the line, "We could have been, we could have been."
Hmm.
And the way that the camera really like lights his face, I don't know why I was so drawn to that moment. And that's before we really get to see of the edits of what Mary is seeing
Hmm.
as she attacks Howard. So I'm throwing a lot at you, but I guess that really physical, emotional high point. I guess what can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Corey's very, very tall. And he was always on the upside because he was, pushing her down the hill.
Yeah.
So we, took advantage of that, of like, tried to make him look even bigger and scarier behind her,
Mm.
and I think then when it flips and she's on top of him and stabbing him, I wanted to try and get as steep as I could on her. So then literally the tables are reversed and she's looming over him. So I
Yeah.
kind of like narratively that you can use the camera in that way of like showing power, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and honestly, they're just also great actors. I
Mhm.
think Corey is amazing, and Lizzie is phenomenal. So it's wherever we put the camera, there's going to be impactful because of their performance. But of course, we also had a great DP who also set
Mhm.
a certain look and tone for that bridge.
Yeah.
That sort of that blue, sort of cyan color. he sort of had threaded throughout the whole show, and
Wow.
really wanted to sort of bring that color in for the finale for when we have this big confrontation. So
Yeah.
there was lots of elements of high angle, low angle to cyan color, all mixed with, of course, the great performances, and hopefully culminated into a very dramatic sequence.
Yeah, there's something about the way there's like a, I don't know what it's technically called. There's like a wider shot of them sort of in profile as they're going down. And
Mhm.
I feel like that really gives us a sense of like going into this dead zone. It really like made me like physically uncomfortable. Um,
Yeah. Well, she
yeah,
also got a knife to her back, that was
yeah,
important to see there.
yeah,
But there was the transition that we made of like literally, like you said, going to that dead zone with the arch.
yeah,
So we tried to replicate that shot when Kate Mara goes down there with him. It's the same shot. So when we
hmm,
see her in that flashback, she goes down that same arch down into the dead zone. We did exactly the same shot as Lizzie goes down with Corey. And that's not their character names, but you know what I mean,
yeah,
into the dead zone. So we do try and use that sort of cinematic language to sort of seep in to see if that sort of
yeah.
resonates with people in a subconscious way.
Also, I gotta commend you guys, everybody that's part of the show. That I feel like with so many timelines and especially how many different perspectives we have, like it would have been very, I think, almost easy for something to get confusing. And I think that like the vision for all the directors on board it's so crisp and so clear narratively that we never miss a beat. I was speaking earlier today about with the costume designer Tiffany, and we were talking about like shifting perspectives and like memory. So I think that's I feel like with other shows sometimes we're just like, wait, where am I? What's going on? When am I? Things like that.
Yeah. I think
Um,
with also being 8 episodes, I think they treat it like one big movie with a
mhm,
narrative, structure and journey. Even with speaking of Tiffany, like even with Lizzie's character choices for her dress, even at the end, the green dress was is just sort of this culmination of like her coming
mm,
alive,
yeah,
this sort of sense of growth and a sense of a new woman,
mhm,
from that journey, from all the other different dresses she was wearing throughout it. So I think, especially with those actresses, they absolutely tracked all of their journeys and sort of tried to sort of have a certain sort of evolution for their
yeah,
characters.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch if we could to the
Oh,
Testaments, just because I felt a little. I wasn't okay. So, The Handmaid's Tale, what a landmark, like iconic show. The I was very curious as to what this season was going to do. Like, we're meeting new characters. I'm sure everyone is saying, unfortunately, feels way more. I don't know. I feel like everybody has a little bit of unease considering how maybe, predictive certain stuff can be. But I love that, first of all, you had two episodes that are back to back. And second of all, how completely different these two episodes are from each other. We get mostly Aunt Lydia's perspective in six, and then seven with Daisy. So something that I thought was that I kept thinking about during episode six was thinking about physical space and thinking about the size of that stadium. I love how there's so much of that we can see so much of the stadium, the empty seats, so many overhead shots that I think this show and The Handmaid's Tale are sort of known for. And then when we cut back to the Aunt Lydia school, um, there's this sort of intimate, what's the right word, compressed sort of underlying unease the whole time, whereas when we're in the stadium it's like out in the open, there's open confusion, there's the fear is ramped up to a million. And I guess going back and forth between like that expansive openness of the stadium versus the controlled, I guess like schoolrooms, for lack of a better phrase. I guess I wanted to know what it was like to kind of like jump back and forth between those.
it's a really great question. And that is something that I spoke about with Bruce Miller, the
Mm,
showrunner. he really wanted to make that the stadium feel like the Colosseum, like a real
Mm,
spectacle. And so that's why there was so many overhead shots, and that's why at the end of that execution scene we cut to the high wide pulling out, so it feels like this spectacle.
hmm.
And there's a lot of transitions there where we go from sterile, like empty hallways, and then we cut straight to very violent hallways where women are being dragged on the floor and hit, hit with guns, and that
Hmm.
that I liked in terms of the juxtaposition between the two worlds, and
Hmm.
how Aunt Lydia went from that world into her, Aunt Lydia's preparatory school, and how she could control that, how she didn't want to go back to that place of
Yeah.
um, violence, and she was going to, run her school in this sort of sanitary, sort of sterile, clean spaces because of her past that she
Hmm.
wouldn't want to ever go back to. So we definitely made a conscious decision to make those transitions very apparent
Yeah.
from each time frame. And you're absolutely right. I think it's definitely to this suffocating world of the preparatory school as opposed
Hmm.
to this wide open world, which is also suffocating, but in a more spectacle kind of way.
Yeah, and it's sort of like I felt kind of like physically uncomfortable when that whole episode they're talking about like matching these young women with these mostly like we see pictures of the men or flashes of the men. It's like the most nightmarish. I hesitate to almost say this, but it's almost like this matchmaky, uh, almost like the most fucked up version of The Bachelor you've ever
Right.
could ever possibly imagine. It's so something about seeing the confusion and the open violence when things begin versus to accepted societal things inside of Gilead. It's sort of like I felt like I was just saying, I was like, how did we get here? How did we get here? It's fiction, but how did we get here? Um, yeah. Um,
I mean, I think that's the unease
yeah.
is because the girls don't question it.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I think because they're so excited about what commander they're going to get, and they don't even, at this point in time in the story, question sort of why they're being sort of partnered out without even really thinking about if they like this person or not. It's all
Yeah.
about sort of the tradition, and I think that's the difference with this show, The Testament, as opposed to Handmaid's Tale, because of course in Handmaid's Tale we come into the story where June's just ripped from this life,
Yeah.
whereas this, we come into this story where these girls think that this is normal, and
Hmm.
that they live in this beautiful sort
Mm,
of affluent sort of life, and that's why it's creepy, because
yeah.
it's if they don't question it, they think this is how life should be, and but we're all sitting back gasping, screaming at the TV to say, "Oh my gosh, don't do it, don't do it."
Yeah.
So I think that's the scary part.
Yeah, there is sort of this, I don't know, this I honestly I didn't read the book and I didn't really know I didn't watch any trailers or anything before I dove into the show. And I thought Agnes, I thought her character or I thought the character was working with Daisy together as sort of like covert thing, but I was like, no, I think there's so much more tension where one is coming in to sort of covertly, and the other one sort of like wide-eyed and sort of um, optimistic, and the sort of like the thoughts of how a young woman, is her mind and her heart is being shaped by like what love should be or how things
Hmm.
should be. It's so there's a tremendous amount of tension between that I find very very engrossing. Um, Let me ask about the scenes between in episode 7 and I love the scenes between Daisy and Rita. Um, Especially when she says the line to her, if you go in thinking that you are smarter than them, you will die.
Mm.
Um, and I think it's something about I don't know if this will be articulated well, but it's sort of like thinking about how it made me think about how uh, thinking politically, like the assumptions that we have of
Mhm.
people that are like on the other side. And forgive me, the woman who plays Rita, I'm blanking on her name.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but
I need
I
to
love her as an actress.
Yes.
And I guess I wanted to know because the scenes, even though the intention is for like training purposes for something that is very dangerous, there's a there's a comfort there because we are away from the main action of the show. And I guess I wanted to know what was important in terms of that sort of like breathing space, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
well, I mean, of course, readers from, Handmaids, so I think people
Hmm.
get excited to see, a legacy character sort of who's comes into this world. And I think that's why that line has so much weight, because when she says that, because she's lived it, you will die, and she's seen friends die, and she's, being threatened herself in that situation, having
Yeah.
been there. So that meant a lot to all of us when she said that, and I actually got choked up every time she said it, because she always said it with
Mm.
that sense of knowing. So that was really important to us, and I think I loved doing the Daisy story, because firstly, I think Lucy Halliday is a wonderful talent and a lot of
Hmm.
fun, and we had a great time. All of those scenes, I think we shot in one day, in a very small hot house, and it was a
Hmm.
crazy day, but it was very fulfilling. And I think ultimately it was like telling the story, that journey of like how she sort of, became part of Mayday, how she then was going to be put in to be a Pearl Girl, and the course of that relationship I thought was really beautiful and beautifully
Hmm.
done, because it went from sort of, being a little standoffish with each other and not really trusting each other, to almost becoming a mother-daughter relationship, through the course of time.
Hmm.
So I'm always interested in those type of relationships between women, like a mother-daughter relationship, friendship. And so that was really a beautiful sort of sequence. And I think something that's important for us to tell outside of Gilead, so we understand Daisy and how she fits in.
Yeah, the Lucy, she has such I don't want to say fiery, but she has such a, you
She
know,
is fiery. Yeah,
yeah,
she's very electric, you know.
yeah, she's
When
got
when you watch
presence,
her,
total presence. Yeah.
yes, I mean when you watch her, sometimes I love sitting right next to the camera and next to the lens. So
Hmm.
sometimes when I'm not looking at the iPad or the monitors, I just look at her, and it's just
Mm.
crackling. And she's always doing something new, and she's always so open. And it's always fun as a director to work with an actress like that, because she's just willing to go there for you and willing to try different things. She's never closed off to any direction or any ideas. She goes, yeah, let's try that. And she does it, and she's amazing, So we had a lot of fun on that episode. I was so excited for episode 6 to come out, because I kind of knew it was going to be a very big, impactful episode. Obviously, Aunt Lydia Legacy episode is going to be huge, but I kind
Yeah.
of now I'm really excited for people to see Lucy's story
Yeah.
this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say the scene between uh Daisy and Agnes when they're sort of making an effort with each other,
Hmm.
and the scene where she brings out the like little pouch of
Yep.
things, there's such an innocent intimate moment of friendship there because it even reminded me of, I don't know, even like part of your world, Little Mermaid, like this, look at
Yeah.
all this stuff that I found. I love
Yeah.
these things that I found. And it's an intimate moment that we haven't seen on this whole season before. And it's a moment that Agnes feels very vulnerable. And especially as I wanted to say that going into the scene where she sees
Yeah.
Garth smoking,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh my God, the moment of yearning that is there,
Yes.
that is carried through the whole rest of the episode. I love that. So I just wanted, what you can tell me about that vulnerability, that longing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I love that you said that, because it is also the cracks showing
Mm.
that she's starting to question that she is curious, that
Yeah.
she wants to sort of break through that glass ceiling, that she kind of starts realizing, like Ariel, that there's a whole new world above this,
Yeah.
above the surface of the ocean. And she wants to go up and investigate and explore. And I think that's such a beautiful part of Agnes's story and Agnes's journey, to see that, and to see that she's interested in another world, another life, and that
Mhm.
it's kind of really naive, all the little things she's bringing out, like like a crack pen and crack pipe and stuff like that, but she
Yeah.
thinks it's really romantic. So
Hmm.
there's something, yeah, like exactly, something naive, something vulnerable, but also something where you feel like, oh, there's something inside her that sort of there's that yearning, there's that desire to find something else, to
Hmm.
understand that there is something else out there. And that to me is the beginning of what then launches you into towards the end of the season, which is exciting to me. I was excited to do that with Chase, because it was the opportunity for to see an evolution in her character. And
Yeah.
then to have that scene with Garth, I mean, it's beautiful, because that she takes another big step in that scene with Garth by almost
Mhm.
confronting him, almost
Yeah.
wanting to tell him how she feels, out of all that
Mhm.
yearning again, or the whole season's worth of yearning, that it comes out so close in that scene. You just feel like by the end of that episode, something's going to happen. She's
Yeah.
about ready to, step off that precipice. So I think it's a really exciting sort of story for Chase, for Agnes, by the end as well.
Yeah, I felt when I watched that episode, like I physically felt like a lightness. I was like, ah, that like anticipatory, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? That I feel like isn't, I don't, it's very hard to capture that, because and the fact that that character is sort of discovering these things and questioning these things on her own. We can see it on her face. And the
Yes.
sort of, the way, like I gotta say this, the moment where the camera stays on like Paula's face right after Winston leaves, and
Mhm.
it's that whole sequence, from that to I call it the trinket scene, into
Mhm.
the Garth scene, and like the way that when he comes back after she thinks that he's gone, and she has like the cigarette like right here on her mouth, and he starts talking, the way that she's like flustered and embarrassed, and I was like, that the real human reactions and connections that we can sort of see in each other, that's going to break down Gilead, I think. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's that shift that we're all looking for, right? We want to see that facade breaking,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we do see in that scene for sure.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, that was a
great. I
fun
love
scene
that.
to shoot. And from a technical point of view, we waited for the sun to get all that backlight. I really wanted that scene to be backlit, and we
Mm.
were fighting to shoot that scene at that time of day, right as the sun was going down. And when it was happening, and when Chase was doing all those beautiful performances and the sun was just flaring, it was like we were all sort of gasping, because we all knew
Yeah.
it was a very special moment. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's
I,
the seeing her like walking towards his back. It's sort of, he doesn't even know really that she's there, and it's like
Mhm.
the moment where he's like exhaling smoke and she's like right behind him. I was like, that, I
Yeah,
don't know, something about that shot. I was just like, I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen.
yeah.
Um,
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think people will get excited about that scene, because I know they're
oh yeah,
really keen on that relationship.
yeah,
So
I imagine. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's
Um,
a bit lighter after the execution, episode. So it's
yeah,
nice.
we need it. Yeah, we really,
Yeah,
really need
yeah.
that. Um, Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I loved
you.
both shows. Thanks for
Thank
letting me
you.
geek out on you a little bit.
Oh, thank
Um,
you. Appreciate it. I'm glad you
yeah,
enjoyed them.
yeah. Can't wait for more people to see like how the show goes, and everything. So thank you so much for your time, and just have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.